Hello everyone, I want to start this video off by letting you know this is not going to be in-depth on any of these. It's just going to be an overview. We're going to see what they need. They've been sitting for a long time. We're basically going to throw gas in them and see start or not, or if something's going to leak or what's wrong. So it's going to be kind of a rough video. I've never really done one trying to tackle 4 mowers at once. We'll see how this goes, and it's a little rough. And these are kind of my opinions on what I've seen on these mowers. Some of these could be great. Like, I have nothing good to say about that piece of junk, but some people may love them. I sure don't. That's the second one I've had that's a piece of garbage, and not the first one I've seen that's falling apart. So I'll enjoy the video. I'll see you in the next one. Hello everyone, welcome to Past Preserver. Today we're going to be looking at some of these mowers I drug in. The guy was going to throw them all out. He ended up buying a new mower, and he was the type of guy that, oh, doesn't start, buy another one, get another one, get another one. So he was done peddling with them. Time for me to get them and fix them on up, because he was going to throw them out. So looking here, we have a weed eater. These aren't the greatest decks. I've known a few of them to crack, actually. Here's a quick look at this weed eater 22-inch, something you want to take note of if you find this on the side of the road. These motor mounts are kind of known for cracking up around here, so keep an eye out on that. I've seen these motors just flopping around while they're running. Not good. The wheels are kind of known for being flimsy and loose. Make sure it rolls good and straight. If you want to know the date on one of these, a lot of the times, this one here is a 2010 model. You just come up here and it says October 2010. Good to know. So we have about a 13-year-old mower we're looking at, and really it's not in terrible shape. We are missing a muffler that should be here. I probably have one of those around. All the wheels seem to be in place, but you'll notice it has high wheels on the back. I don't know if this would have came with that or not, but they should be yellow like this. Somebody's modified this at some point. Having a flap on the side or a mulcher plug of some sort is always ideal, because that does kind of have your blade exposed as it's moving around in there. And take note of the blade. We'll get to that in a minute. Overall, these things are fairly easy to work on. Your air breather's here. Just take the screw out and you can slide this around. Primer button, fuel tank. As you can see, there's a little bit of sludgy fuel in the bottom. We might be able to just rinse this thing out and it should just fire up. These things are pretty hard to kill, and even if you do kill it, you can take this tank off fairly easy, and there is a diaphragm in here. Just order the part, replace it, and this thing should be up and running again. Just make sure you change your oil. Previous owner didn't quite do a good job on this one. She's pretty black, but it'll run off of it. Moving on to the handle, you always want to make sure that, and this goes for any of them, this moves freely, releases the brake up there, and make sure the engine turns over. Now that weird sound, that noise you're hearing, is because we don't have a muffler on it. Now coming underneath it, something else you always want to check out. How rusty is the deck? These decks are not very thick to start with, so a pit going all the way through can cause quite a bit of rust. We'll see if we can find some. Oh yeah, look at that. It's not rotted through, but it doesn't take very long for that to turn into this. Now, remember what I said about the blade? You do not want these little flanges going down. As you can see, you have a high point where it curves out. You always want that going up on these, not down. The whole goal is to send the grass up so it gets shot around and out. It's like big scoops. Not the other way where it's trying to push everything down into the ground. One other thing to look for, see if it's got the back flap on it. Sometimes these get ripped off, and honestly, you can run it without it. You just got to keep in mind you have a gap here, and things are more likely to fling straight back at you. So use caution. These things can be dangerous if used improperly, or if somebody's standing in the wrong spot. So this is the oldest one out of this group. Let's have a look at how well it held up. She's a little wet down here. Pull the dipstick. Oil definitely needs to change. How's the fuel tank? These things generally like to drain their gas out. Yeah, it's bone dry. These engines are always kind of known for losing their gas. At least every one I've ever had. Wheels look okay. They all move freely. They're not real wobbly. This one looks like it had electric start on it. How do we tell that? Well, first off, this big fuse here, and there's a key up top. But down here is a starter. You see the wires going in, and there's a little round starter right here. Nice option if you want to spend the money to buy the battery. Where's the battery go? I'm still trying to figure that one out. I haven't had one of these that was this fancy. That one over there had a spring assist starter. There was like a little spring motor here you released on the mechanism, and it would recharge it, and then you'd push a button and it would activate it, and it's supposed to restart it if everything was primed right and you were using it. So it worked some of the time, and then it eventually stopped working altogether. So this here might be the better option. This does have the mulching plug on it, and as you can see, the deck on this is full of grass too. I hope she's not all rotted out. We'll get underneath it here pretty quick. Coming up underneath, we can have a look at the deck, and as you can see, this thing is definitely got some buildup and a lot of rust going on. This is why you want to clean underneath your deck. Look at that, that's taking metal with it. So this definitely needs a good scraping. Although, I don't think it's really rotted through anywhere that I've seen so far, at least. We may have got lucky to be able to save this. Here is the belt. That probably is going to need replaced at some point. That groove is actually fairly smooth. I thought it'd be full of rust. It doesn't look great, but it's not awful. Go ahead and throw this back down. We have the bagger on the back. Oh, this fell off. Always make sure your controls are in place. They just kind of pop in like that. So on a lot of these self-propelled setups, your top handle is going to be for starting, and you hold on to it until you want to kill the motor or something happens and you have to let go of it. And then the bottom one is going to be your drive. Like I said, this does have electric start, so you do have a key switch mounted here. And to release the bagger, fairly simple. It just comes out of these two grooves. As you can see, we got a lot of nasty old grass in that. Always want to look up back in here as well, make sure that's not all rotted out. There's generally a piece of plastic here, so it seems not to rot out terribly. Still not sure where the battery goes though. Well, to give you guys my best guess, I think the battery's down in here, because all the wiring seems to go that way. This goes off to your safety switch, and this goes off to the starter. And this here does say, make sure to charge when first purchased after each mowing. Yeah. I'll have to look around. I might have something we could plug this in with, because I do have another engine like this on my pressure washer, and it has kind of a battery start set up on it too, and I do have a charger for that. So far we have two fairly good mowers, and the only part we need is a muffler. Moving on to the Murray. This here is a 450E engine. This is the one that's got the plastic carburetor. And I actually have another mower over here with an EX motor. And this motor is all kinds of messed up. The carburetor's been busted off its mount, and she doesn't sound real healthy when you pull her over. Look at everything flop around up there. So yeah, we may be taking that engine off and try throwing it onto this, because this is a nice deck and everything, 21 inch, but it might not last very long on there either. because this is an E, not even an EX. And then my newest mower has an EXI on it. Oh look, it's missing a screw. Somebody's been into this before. That might not be a good sign of things to come. Open this up. Air breather, kind of dirty. Close that back up. Check the fuel. She's dry, but it looks like there's some gunk down in the tank. Check the oil. Check the oil. Where is the dipstick? Don't tell me these don't have a dipstick on them. Oh, there it is. What an awful design. Like, come on. That's something I expect out of a 60s engine, not like Tecumseh's had those. The 60s, 70s mowers had this stuff. Come on, Briggs. What are you doing? Talk about a budget piece of junk. It actually is the cleanest looking oil out of the bunch. But then again, it is the newest engine out of the bunch. In case you're wondering, no, the EX does not have that silly little thing. It has a proper dipstick. Maybe that's what the X means. You get a dipstick with it. Features. Now, at least on these, they have a tag on the side telling you exactly what it is. The family number, the year model, 2014, the displacement, 126. If you're wondering on that one, that's a 2017. And here's another problem with using this as your tag. I hope it's stamped in here somewhere. Look at how poor this thing is looking. And this is a 2017. Okay, enough bashing on the engine for being a piece of garbage. Briggs, what happened to you? You went from something great to something awful. Moving on. The blade is on right. I can say that is a plus about this. Look how much rust is already starting. And this one's been cleaned, it looks like. There's no grass under here, and she's getting a lot of pretty thin. But then again, it's pretty thin to start with. The wheels are, are they bolted on, or at least bolted on? Not riveted. Coming over to the flap, it does come with a mulching plug. I can give that as a plus. And it pops off. It's a little bit of a fight, but you can pop it off there. So that's a nice feature. Better than that not being there. Overall, other than the motor it's on, I don't think the deck's too awful. Of course, it's pretty thin. And she turns over all right. Better than that one, at least. Now moving on to the big one. This is a John Deere. This was not a cheap mower when the guy bought it. Momentum drive system, JS46. It's got the electric start. It's got the self-propelled that is fancy. This thing, as you walk, you kind of push forward on this and it keeps up with you. It's got the big battery. It has the big oil filter. Yes, that's right, a push mower with a screw-on oil filter and a larger capacity fuel tank. This really is more a commercial mower. Look at the size of that air filter. Have a look in here at the gas. Oh yeah, that needs to be drained. Replace when empty. I believe that's some sort of additive thing to keep the fuel good. Well, it hasn't done its job anymore, has it? But this here definitely is a nice mower. We have a 8.75 foot-pounds of torque. That is pretty good size. 190cc engine. The deck adjust. Oh, that was something I failed to mention on the rest of these. They have to be adjusted manually. Each wheel you have to pop out and choose your height on all four. This one has one lever that adjusts the entire deck up and down. It's a little hard to do one-handed, but as you can see, she's going up and down. That is a great feature too. Keeps everything nice and level. John Deere, powered by Briggs & Stratton, featuring a premium spin-on oil filter for longer oil life. This here was sold by Sloan, local John Deere dealer. Coming underneath the deck, that doesn't look very good. She's pretty rusty. But it's a pretty thick deck, so I think it can get away with it. We should be able to clean this up. Look at that carburetor. Someone's beat on that before. I'd say it's safe to say this thing's been run through the ringer. So on this engine, we come over to this side, and that says it's a 2011, made the first month of 2011, if I'm reading that correctly. So this here is not the newest one. Well, yeah, not the newest one out of the bunch, because that was a 14, but it is the most commercial, so I think it'll fire up and go too. Oh, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Which one are we going to work on first? Okay, here's my thoughts on this one. I pour some gas in it and she'll fire right up. These things are super hard to kill, and there's a little bit of gunky gas in the bottom, but I think it'll dilute out okay. We'll just put enough in there to dilute it out. I bet this thing will fire up and run great. May smoke a little bit. It's going to be loud. We're still missing the muffler. I left that off for you guys. Yeah. Pushing the button. She's making the sounds I want to hear. So the primer bulb was working. She'll go. Okay, I just fiddled around with the weed eater trying to get it running. It does not want to run, so that'll be a subject for another video. We're gonna have to go into it. This here, the Craftsman, we'll throw a little gas in it. The tank is dry. We'll see what happens. We're just trying to figure out how bad these mowers really are. The other two, I know I need to clean the tanks out on. This one does have oil in it. It's not awful, but it needs changed. Not as bad as that weed eater was. And, okay, we found problem number 2. Haha, quick and easy. This needs a new primer bulb. She's shooting gas. So, we would never know now if we never put gas in it. Not until we had gone through the carb already. So that's kind of why I'm doing this. It looks like somebody has been into this already. We will see if it fires up like that, but my experience with these, if that's gone, it's probably not going to run very long. But we'll make sure we have spark. Well, we could just throw a plug on it, but where's the fun in that? She sounds pretty good. Yeah, from when I was showing you guys how this worked. I'm still offset. There we go, clicked into place. So overall, this will be a good mower. We replace that primer bulb. I had a feeling it would just start. These things here pretty good about sitting for a long time, firing right back up. Unless they get ran, then they don't want to fire up again. Gotta prime them. So generally go. Okay, we got one runner. Oh, what the heck. We'll just throw gas in the other two and see what happens, huh? We're this far. We're just figuring out what we need to get parts wise and give an overall analysis on these things. And I need to find out what you guys want to see. Is it worth me going to the carburetor on this? Is this mower even worth doing a video on? I don't know. Although I would like to see it on that deck. We will. So we'll do it again. That tank's not that bad. There's a little gunk down in there. Oh, that is a small tank compared to the other ones. No good redeeming things. Maybe it'll start. Maybe that can be its redeeming quality. Boy, that primer bulb feels pretty cracked up. I think it's going to need one too. Underneath it, it sounds like there's something flinging around under there. Is that just the mulcher plug making that noise? Oh yeah. Get you guys in for a close-up on this. Look at how cracked up the primer bulb is. Well, I'd like to at least try to fire up. I wonder if I can take the one off that other carb or mower I got. Yeah. It really stinks that's required to start these things. We might just throw a little gas down the carb, see if she'll catch. So there's a little hole right here where you want to try and get your gas into. And just give it a spit and see if that's enough to start it up. Do I even want to put this air filter back on? She's kind of gunky looking. And why not? I don't think it's going to hurt anything. Can you tell I don't work on these very often? I'm used to the older ones like we just worked on. So far my experience with these is they don't last very well. I'm 2 for 2 with kind of junky versions of these. That muffler sounds pretty out of it too. Golly, these things feel like garbage. Well, I think this one I'm deeming junk. That just doesn't seem worth putting any amount of time into. Another garbage. Just garbage. Okay, I want to drain the fuel out of this real quick. The electric transfer pump really didn't want to fit down in there, so I got a manual one. And I guess it still works. I'm just going to throw that fuel into my extra tank. We might mix it in with other stuff depending on how bad it looks, but it doesn't look awful. It could be mixed. But we're going to start fresh. Well, here we go. Let's find out if this mower wants to run or not. I don't see a primer bulb of any sort, so I'm assuming it's one of those non-primed starts. So let's see what happens. Oop, don't want that. Okay, we're going to cheat a little bit. We're going to throw a little gas straight down the carb and see what happens. Because I have a feeling the carb's going to need gone through. Judging by how beat up that bowl is. Well, there we go. Now let's see what happens. Oh. Let's give her a little more gas. That's entirely too much. Okay, she runs, she just needs the carb gone through. I don't guess there's a fuel shut off on it. No. Alright, we have a runner. Tempt fate yet again, now it's a little warm. Easy. I just put my hand over the carb and she started up. Yeah, this thing will really keep up with you too. I like it. For the million-dollar question, will it restart, or does it really need the carb gone through? Yeah, I'd say carb needs gone through. Yeah, she needs some work. That might be a valve issue. All right. Well, she's a popper. It's a Johnny popper. But that's not what we want. Okay. So, good diagnosis on this. She runs good. The drive works. Don't know about the electric start. That'll be for next video. We have a runner on our hands. She needs an oil change. I need to find this oil filter. We'll go through. We'll do all the maintenance. New blade for it. because like I say, my dad kind of wants this for his mowing. I think it'd do him very well. This one, I just garbage, another garbage one. It needs a primer bowl. The muffler sounds pretty done. Overall, these things just fairly cheaply built, and she was starting to get some rust on the bottom. Moving on to the weed eater. Yeah, we can go into this one. It should go. Honestly, if I did the same thing, actually, let's try that real quick. I have just enough battery. We could try pouring a little gas straight down the carb. It might fire off. And this one needs a primer bulb. Yeah, but it does seem to run. Shoot the gas everywhere. Fire starter. There she runs, she drives. So we put the bare minimum amount of work in all of these. Basically, put some gas in it, drain the gas out. This one here will run. These carb gone through. By the popping sounds it's making, wonder if the valves need adjusted. We'll address that. This will be its own video. This one will be its own video. It mainly just needs the primer ball and an oil change. I mean, it actually runs as it is. So we'll go over the battery and see if we can get that to take a charge again. But yeah, hard to argue with that. Everything works. This one can be its own video, and this one's just going straight and scrap along with that one. What garbage. No, we might try and make an engine work, because that one, the deck and everything's nice. Just what a garbage engine. We jumped from what I say it was a 2011 to a 2014, and the quality of brakes just went all the way downhill. Who knows how long these have all been sitting. And then this one just doesn't want to run. That one doesn't even look like it was used that much, and it's just garbage. Boy, I got nothing good to say about you. You're coming in the shed, you're going to get fixed, you're going to get fixed, and you're going to get fixed. And we'll do videos on all of them, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. Sorry this video was a little bit here, there, all over the place. I really didn't know how to approach this. I haven't tried to do this many projects in one go. So I'll see you in the next one. Leave a like, hit subscribe. If there's something you need to see on one of these 3, let me know. I'm not even throw that away. That's just garbage. I don't know. Every one I've seen has just been a piece of junk. Even my new one, I just don't. I know it's not going to last me very long. This one, my newer one's an EXI. Ooh, it's a little fancier, but it's got a bigger fuel tank. It's still got the same carburetor and everything. A little nicer muffler on it. Electric start on this one, but you know, it's just a matter of time before it falls apart like the rest of them.